Yesterday morning, a 27-year-old farmer from Chipping Norton climbed into a bright orange McLaren worth $25,000 and drove to his own wedding with his 5-year-old son sitting beside him. 3 years ago, that same man was delivering veg boxes and taking contracting jobs across Oxfordshire for money that barely covered the fuel. Yesterday, he got married on a 500-acre estate just minutes from the farm where his life changed completely. And at the reception, with Hawkstone beer and cider flowing freely, sat Jeremy Clarkson. Weeks after revealing on national television that he had aggressive prostate cancer and was still recovering from surgery, he showed up anyway. That is the real story here. It is not just Kaleb Cooper's wedding day. It is the latest proof that one of Britain's strangest friendships has become completely real. Kaleb Cooper married Tia Wilkinson on Saturday, July 5, 2026 at Merriscourt, a 500-acre working estate just outside Chipping Norton in Oxfordshire. If you know this corner of the Cotswolds, you know why that matters. This is Kaleb's ground. He was born here. He learned to farm here. He met Tia here. He found fame here. And now, he is married here too. That kind of full-circle ending does not happen by accident. It happens when a life never really leaves the place that made it. And honestly, that is what makes the whole thing feel so satisfying. Before the ceremony, Kaleb was photographed leaving a local pub with his groomsmen, and that feels exactly right for him. No polished celebrity entrance, no fake grandeur, just a farmer on his wedding morning, doing it his own way. Then he arrived at Diddley Squat in that bright orange McLaren, a 25,000 supercar. Oscar, his 5-year-old son, was in the passenger seat. That is the sort of detail that makes people stop and stare, because one minute you are looking at a man who once worked for near-pocket money rates, and the next he is pulling up in one of the most recognizable sports cars in the world. Life can turn strange fast. Tia wore a flowing white gown, a tiara, and a veil, with a bouquet of wildflowers in her hands. Kaleb wore a suit and a yellow tie. And after the ceremony, they posed in front of a tractor, because of course they did. That photo says more about them than any formal portrait ever could. It is not trying to be glamorous. It is trying to be true, and that is why it lands. His Instagram post went up the following morning. Such an amazing day yesterday celebrating our wedding. We both had the most amazing day. Mr. and Mrs. Cooper. More pics to come, don't worry. Within hours, more than 3 million followers had seen it. That is a lot of people watching one family milestone unfold in real time. Most people post wedding photos to a handful of friends. Kaleb posted his to an audience big enough to turn a local farm wedding into a national conversation. Jeremy Clarkson was there too, alongside Lisa Hogan. Other Clarksons Farm cast members showed up as well. Eddie Hall, the world's strongest man turned boxer and now part of the wider Diddley Squat orbit, was also photographed at the celebration. It was less a guest list and more a strange little country kingdom gathering in one place. And Clarkson did not just attend. He brought the drinks. Unlimited Hawkstone beer and Hawkstone cider for the reception. That is the kind of detail that sounds made up until you remember this whole world has been built on the farm itself. The man who owns the brewery served the wedding of the man who helped make the farm famous. You could not script that with a straight face. And somehow, it still happened. Here is where the meaning gets bigger. 3 weeks earlier, in the final episodes of Clarksons Farm Season 5, Clarkson told Kaleb and Charlie Ireland that he had been diagnosed with prostate cancer. He said it was aggressive but caught early. He expected to be fine. He would be out of action for a while. That kind of moment changes a room instantly. You do not forget the look on someone's face when the joke stops and the truth lands. Kaleb later spoke publicly about how much the news affected him, and he described Clarkson as his best mate. That is the part people outside this story sometimes miss. The TV dynamic came first. The exasperated older landowner. The blunt young farmer. The comedy was obvious. The friendship took time. And now it is real enough that a man recovering from surgery still showed up for the wedding anyway. That is not a PR move. That is loyalty. And loyalty is rarer than good television. Tia and Kaleb have been together for a decade. They grew up in the same corner of Oxfordshire. They became childhood sweethearts. And before the cameras, before the books, before the contracts, before the Amazon deal, they already had a life. That matters. Because a lot of success stories make the family look like an afterthought. This one does not. Oscar arrived in March 2021, just weeks before Clarksons Farm first aired. Willa came along in 2023. Then Ashton was born last August. after Kaleb told Tia to wait while he finished harvesting a field. Clarkson wrote about that moment in his column and called him the boy wonder. He also told the story of the field called Dead Man. That is such a farmer joke it almost writes itself. They chose Ashton instead. Kaleb proposed to Tia on Christmas Day in 2022. 3 children, 1 proposal on Christmas morning, a wedding in July at Merriscourt. That sequence tells you everything. Nothing here was rushed. Everything was built. And that is exactly how real lives work. The business story is just as striking. Kaleb's production company has shown equity approaching $909,000 with profit of $606,000 in a single year. He has 3 Penguin bestsellers. He landed an Amazon content deal independent of Clarksons Farm. He has been running the contracting business since before television found him. And he has a holdings company built for the simple reason that he wants to buy land. That is not a lucky accident. That is structure. That is planning. That is a man who understood early that television could amplify a business, but not replace one. The orange McLaren was not the story. The 500-acre venue was not the story. Those were the visual proof that the story already happened. A young man from Chipping Norton, starting from 50 pence an hour, built a real career while cameras were focused on the bigger personality beside him. That is the part worth remembering, not the shine, the climb. Now the next chapter is already moving. Kaleb Down Under is in production, a 4-part Amazon Prime series following him to Australia. It will be his first major solo television project. It will also be his first flight ever. That alone tells you how far this has gone. The man who once said he rarely traveled farther than Banbury is now testing whether his business and his name can travel too. Season 6 of Clarksons Farm has already been confirmed by Amazon, with production expected in 2027. If Clarkson's recovery allows it. So yes, the machine keeps moving. The farm will still need managing. The harvest will still need doing. The planning battles with West Oxfordshire District Council will probably still be annoying everyone. Some things never change. But this weekend was not about any of that. It was about a local boy from Chipping Norton driving to his wedding in a $25,000 McLaren with his son in the passenger seat. It was about marrying the girl he has loved since he was young. It was about his best mate sitting in the reception with open Hawkstone on the table. And it was about all of it happening only minutes from the field where his working life began. That is a pretty unbelievable Saturday. And somehow, for Kaleb Cooper, it was real. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Cooper. What part of this story stood out to you the most?